it a sec.
Good evening, boys and girls. Welcome to Smart Trucking Live. I'm going to have another interesting evening this evening, something I know I'm going to enjoy. I was already reading a comment from Michael Mueller here about roller wieners and fifth wheel grease. I tell you, I hope it's not going to be one of those evenings. We're going to try to stay on a serious track, but it's not starting out well. Anyway, I thought our last live stream, guys wanted to talk about food at truck stops and stuff like that, and we thought, you know what, that's a great idea. So let's talk about that tonight.
Give them a few minutes here for
quickly
people to come.
Okay, we're just gonna wait for some more people to join us here.
I'm watching from Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Wow.
We've been to Hawaii. It was beautiful. Love to go back there. So anyway, thought we'd talk about some good truck stop food, and that's getting harder and harder and harder to find. And I've been off the road, off the interstate now for a couple of years, as you guys know. And I was doing a little checking before we came on here this evening, and I was saddened to see that a couple of my favorite truck stop restaurants are gone now. So that's, Grandma Max's in Grand Island, Nebraska, the Bosmans. Well, even the Bosmans now is a pilot, but Grandma Max's restaurant there is gone. It appears like the restaurant at Little America, Wyoming is gone as well, and it was really good too. So I'm sorry to see some of these good restaurants vanishing. Fortunately, there are still a few, but they're becoming farther and fewer between, harder to find, and it's, but maybe with the truck driver pay these days, nobody can afford to eat at a decent restaurant, so everyone's got to live off fast food, and that's why all the truck stops seem to be heading to these fast food outlets rather than full service restaurants. I don't know. I would imagine that's some of it, but it's sad anyway. But there's still some pretty good places to eat on the road. Let me tell you a few of my favorites. One of my very favorites is in Clearwater, Minnesota, at the Petro 2. There's a restaurant in there, and I couldn't tell you the name of it off the top of my head, but the Petro 2, Clearwater, Minnesota, fantastic food. They've got a great bakery. They've got huge donuts, and
We have a video on YouTube on that.
Yeah, and they have huge donuts, fantastic steaks. It's a great restaurant. I highly recommend you guys try that if you're passing through there. It's not a whole lot of truck parking, but some, Petro 2, it's a smaller deal. It's not a full-blown Petro, but check out that restaurant, Clearwater, Minnesota. It is excellent. Another one of my favorites, and I haven't been there for a little while. I pray it's still there. I'm sure it is our place in Morris, Illinois at the TA. There is another good spot for good food. My favorite thing out of there was the burrito. They have a giant burrito, but it won't give you heartburn and keep you up all night. My God, it was good. I'd get one of those every time I was through there. So our place in Morris, Illinois, check that out. Another one of my all-time favorites is when I would run through Amarillo, I would always stop at the Big Texan, and it's legendary. It doesn't matter what kind of steak you like, they've got it, and they can do an amazing job with it. Now, I never tried the 72 ounce, but I was with a guy one time who did. He cleaned up the whole thing in the time allotment, then ordered a couple of cheeseburgers to go, and everyone was just amazed. And we walked outside. He threw the cheeseburgers in the waste can. Says to me, "I was just showing off," he says. Then he lay in the bunk for a day and a half and was sick and never turned a wheel. But great restaurant there, the Big Texan. Someplace else I always stop when I'm traveling through there is Walcott, Iowa, and I like Walcott, Iowa for the pork chops. Iowa's got great pork, but check out the pork chops. Walcott, Iowa.
Why don't you find out what they like?
and especially during the truck show. I don't know why they seem to bring in bigger pork chops for the truck show every year. But what do you guys like? Tell me some of the places that you found are really good. Some of the truck stops where the food is great. We need to know. We need to know. I just read a comment here a few minutes ago that the Iron Skillet is going downhill. I'm sorry to hear that, because it was a real good chain. At one time, I liked eating Joplin or Rochelle or Effingham. They were good restaurants. I hope they're not all going downhill, but I like the Iron Skillet. Have for years. What do we got here? Yeah, the Big Texan is awesome. Yeah, I think it is too. My personal favorite truck stop are the Loves for the free Wi-Fi and the best Wi-Fi service for streaming movies. Yeah, but you can't eat that stuff, Michael. What else have we got here? Boise Stage Stop, just east of Boise. Yes, I have been in there. It is good food, and and it's privately owned. It's mom and pop owned. So yeah, that is a good truck stop. I haven't been there in a long time. Clearwater, Nelson Brothers. Is that what they call that restaurant? It's fantastic, whatever it is. Nelson Brothers. That does sound right to me too. Trucker 730. Thank you. Yeah, I believe that's correct. Michigan Jackrabbit, the Trucker. I see you commented about Little America. Is that restaurant still operating out there in Wyoming at exit 68? Let me know. I went online. It looked like they'd replaced it with something else, or it was gone. I sure hope not. I really like the French onion soup there. I don't get out there anymore, but I thought it was one of my favorites. What else have we got here? Vince Jarvie, Arlene's near Jackson, Michigan. Vince, is that on the interstate? Is that on 94? I don't recall that. I don't think I've ever been there. It rings a bell, but I can't bring it to mind. Something else. Oh, and who's going to be mad at me? But I think it's Jim Trucker's going to be mad at me. But I saw something in Overdrive just the other day where it said that a lot of the truck stops are bringing in IHOP now. When I was never a big IHOP fan. I think for maybe for breakfast, for pancakes or something. But other than that, I wasn't an IHOP fan. But here we are. Adrian, Little America is still running, and they still have a great breakfast. Appreciate that, Adrian. Is it in the? Do they still have the old restaurant in the hotel, or is it all just kind of in that food court area that they'd built later on? What else we got? Jason Duke, IHOP sucks. Probably can't say that in the air. Sorry about that. Hi from Nova Scotia, Canada. Ian Goldberg. Hey, Ian. Hello from Ontario. Is there any good eats between Ontario and Quebec? Django Dave. No. In a word, no. And it's a shame because there's an awful lot of truck traffic, but I never found any place in there that I thought the food was any good.
The 115 truck stop on 94?
Oh, is that Arlene's? Yes, I've been in there. I usually stop at the 110 at Marshall because I fueled there, but I have been in there. I didn't realize that was Arlene's. It is good too. And you know what? Now that you mention it, the food at the 110 is good in the new restaurant as well. The old one burned down, I think, but it was a few years ago, or more than a few years ago now. But the new one's really good. St. Ignace Truck Stop. Yes, the food is good. I don't get up there hardly anymore either, but boy, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, so you're always glad to get a decent meal there. That's
Dave,
northern Ontario.
Dave, what's your opinion on the modern truck stop restaurant known as Subway?
I'm scared to eat there anymore. Even the smell makes me kind of nauseous. Subway has a particular odor to it, and I catch a whiff of that and my stomach starts to roll and my guts start to heave. So I'm not a Subway fan.
Triple T in Tucson?
Oh, you know what? There's another good one. I don't know if it's as good now as it once was, but it was a mainstay. If you were running the bottom there at one time, it was a good truck stop. It's getting pretty old now. I hope they've updated the kitchen, but yeah, there was good food there.
What food would you say is probably the safest to eat at these truck stops? Soup?
Wow, you'd probably know better than I would, but that's a really good question. Soup, I would think is probably one of the safer things. The salad bar, at least you can see what you're getting. Well, see, that's why I'm the wrong guy to ask. But
I'm asking them.
yeah, that's a good question.
So what do they like to eat?
Fred Besmer, nope. Same kitchen at the Tucson truck stop. That's not good. I hope they're keeping it clean anyway.
The 401, the Esso in Baynesville?
On the
sit down?
Is it on the 401 east of Baynesville? Well, I haven't been in there. I couldn't say it's at an Esso.
Trey, Nick's friend, avoid gas stations.
Yes. Don't get burritos out of the slot machine food thing. What do they call those? Don't get anything
Food
out of
carousel.
those things. Yeah, don't get anything out of those things ever. I remember the lettuce king getting really sick in Salinas one time, eating off one of the Mexican food wagons that came into the, they patrol the parking lots of the produce houses, and I remember the lettuce king wolfing down a couple of bean burritos, and he never left the parking lot for about 2 days. But so avoid the food wagons, although some of them are really good apparently down in LA. But
what do you like to eat for breakfast in the truck stops?
I don't usually eat breakfast, but if I was to have breakfast, I like French toast and bacon soft and orange juice
And lots of sweet syrup.
and butter.
And whipped cream.
No whipped cream on French toast. Good God.
Connoisseur.
Here's a guy who says, I cooked in my own trucks. I was never that good a cook to do that. I barbecued. I carried a little barbecue in my trailer box, and I would get out and do that once in a while, but I didn't want the smell and the mess and everything in my truck. I didn't, I only went back there to sleep, not eat. So, works for some guys though. But I didn't, I only had a flat top bunk. I didn't have a monster bunk. Ian Goldberg, I like Irving big stops. God, you know what? I was in one out there. I can't think of the name of it. I'll have to look it up on the map, but it was good food too. Huh. I can't even tell you the crossings. I hardly ever ran out there. Only a couple of times, but I remember tripping across one place that was pretty good. Had a Tim Hortons right in the same parking lot, if that helps you. I can't think of the name of the town though. The barbecue trucker wants to talk about roller wieners. While we're on the subject of roller wieners, I should probably apologize to the liberal left because I've never actually eaten a roller wiener, so
There's always a first.
I shouldn't be criticizing them.
Nick says they have them at Mike's Mart.
I don't care. I'm not going.
Well, you can
Michael
try
Mueller said they're great for fifth wheel grease.
or checking your fuel level.
or yeah, you could dip them in the rat or the fuel tank, I suppose.
10 uses for roller wieners.
Yeah, there's
2.
Yeah, 10 uses for roller wieners. Laud them at your friends in the food court. I got Campbell's soup and other stuff I can eat in my truck every day. And you know what? That is a good way to save money, and at least you know what you're getting. Campbell's soup usually is fairly safe. Kathy's not a big fan of Campbell's soup, but
I just don't like canned soup.
My poor mother, God rest her soul, couldn't boil water successfully without screwing it up. So as a result, we learned to make Campbell's soup as kids, and we pretty much lived on Campbell's soup. And we didn't die from it anyway.
Campbell's soup is dog food. Yes.
Well, I grew up on dog food then, Adrian. But yeah, I could tolerate it. I had a few favorites, but
Flying J Pizza is the best for the fifth wheel.
You know what? It would do a really. It's a little bit light for fifth wheel grease, but yeah, it probably would work. Just slide it across the surface a few times. You'd be good
Cheaper
for a
than
few.
the grease packs.
Oh yeah, you'd be good for a few hookups with that stuff.
Jason Duke 360 said chunky soup is better.
On the fifth wheel, or just.
I think so. Just slide the fifth wheel.
Oh man.
So what did you like for dinner at the truck stops?
Well, depending on where I was, as I say, if I was in Morris, for instance, I ordered the burrito. If I was in the Big Texan, I'd order steak, of course. I don't know. I would just kind of eye up the menu depending on where I was. The Iron Skillet, usually, I'd get steak. Steak. What are you reading? She does this to me.
I can't say it.
Yes. Well, at least
No,
point
I
it out
can't.
to me. But yeah, I usually stuck to steak or something like that, some meat that I recognized, and whatever went with it. And I'd eye up the salad bar, and if I didn't see anything brown, I would go for that as well. But yeah, good food that's not fast food. Everything's fast food in the truck stops these days lately, it seems. And I don't know whether truck stop restaurants just can't make a go of it anymore, or why that is, or it's just, it's one less headache, I suppose, if they don't have to worry about a restaurant and restaurant staff. But it's a loss to the truck driver. And it's too bad, because the days of the $3 breakfast are long gone. There was a time when you could load up on the $3 breakfast and you'd be good for 24 hours, and it wouldn't cost you an arm and a leg. Now it's expensive to eat in truck stops if you go into the restaurants. To me, it's worth the money, because fast food scares me a little bit. But
Do most of the trucks have fridge and cooking?
I think quite a few guys now. I'm pretty sure. Do you guys all have microwaves and fridges now? I imagine that's the way it's gone. That's kind of the trend. At least you can control what you're eating. You'd be bringing food right from home and control the environment it came from. Certainly save you money. But yeah, I imagine that's fairly common. But is that the case? Let me know. I think that's the route I'd be going these days. I just have to set up a picnic table outside, read on the frames that need on the frames, so I wouldn't get the mess in the truck.
Some of them said yes, they do.
Yeah, I never did. I guess you'd need a generator on a microwave, though. I would imagine a decent
James
microwave.
Bradley has a fridge with freezer and microwave.
I see even like the new Kenworths, you can get that as an option, a fridge with a freezer,
And
right from the factory. It's pretty handy.
Smith Transport has them in their trucks.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice perk to have in a bunk. Even if you just keep cold drinks and stuff in it, it's an advantage. So yeah, it's tough to eat on the road, and you got to be careful, because if you get food poisoning out there, it can park you for a couple of days, and it's just no fun at all. So you kind of got to watch where you go and what you eat.
Nobody's your friend when you're sick.
What about Chester's chicken? Pretty much all the loves, Michael. I've never eaten there. I'm not a big chicken guy anyway, so I couldn't tell you if Chester's is any good or not, to be
Walmart
honest.
for the win.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do the grocery. There's a good restaurant, is the Petro in Portage, Wisconsin. It was on my list of favorites. It had a really good restaurant, and I would stop in there. It was good. And yeah, like Kathy was just saying, you can always get your groceries at Walmart, and I used to do that a fair bit too. And all sorts of them have truck parking, and allow it. I wish the KW had a bunk like the Volvo. I wish the Volvo had a hood like the Kenworth. $1,200-watt inverter to run your 700-watt microwave, Michael Mueller. Thank you. There's valuable information for you guys if you want to put in a microwave, and it'd be a pretty nice thing to have. 1,200-watt inverter. So you guys Guys, write that down
We
somewhere.
don't even have a real truck stop on PEI. Imagine that. Not one in an entire province. So based on that, I guess it's a good place to start a diet.
Is that right? No truck stops there. I guess they wouldn't get, you're kind of on and off the island as quick as you can be. Huh. And Bud the Spud from the Bright Red Mud, Larry Park Sr. That was one of my father's favorite songs. Walmart isn't truck friendly too much. Trucker 730. Really? I can only think of once where I was asked to leave a Walmart parking lot.
Oh, somebody said one of these places deliver groceries to your truck. That wouldn't be Walmart, would it? Who is that?
Boy, where is that? Where is that? Say what? Says Walmart is anti-trucker now. I'm sorry to hear that. There's an app called Ship Tea. I guess that's for ordering food when you're in the truck. Huh. Here's Jim Trucker. Doesn't care much for the Chester chicken. Yeah, I haven't tried it. I'm not even going to get into fast foods.
Are there truck stops around Vancouver?
No. BC is seriously shy of decent truck stops for considering the amount of truck traffic there is. Like it's tough to find a place to park and stay and eat, and all there are Petro Canadas, and God, you'd be better to park back on a gravel road and spend the night rather than going to a Petro-Can truck stop. Those things are disgusting. So no, there aren't any. You have to get back. Well, it's been a while since I've been out there, but there were decent truck stops in like Kelowna and Revelstoke and Golden and Cranbrook, places like that. But yeah, truck stops are few and far between. Good truck stops in BC.
There's lots of. The Hillbilly Truck Stop in Owensburg, Ohio, is great fried catfish.
Oh, no kidding.
Atlantic Superstore will deliver to your truck, and you place your order online. That's cool.
That is neat. I was never anywhere that would do that.
Oh, there's a smart comment. Adrian, most important for truckers is not to eat too much. This job does not require crazy calorie intake.
No, that's good advice.
advice.
Ryan Summer, have you ever been to Southeast Idaho to the ranch hand? No, I haven't. I haven't been there. Is it good? No, I have not been there.
Apple Barrel Restaurant at the Sapp Brothers in Nebraska.
Apple Barrel Restaurant, Sapp Brothers in Nebraska. Just on the far side of Omaha, that one there. I've eaten in there. I didn't know that was the name of it. Well, there are a few Sapp Brothers in Nebraska, though.
Piggly Wiggly has a deli, and their food is great.
Huh. Never tried that. Good to know.
Used to stop in Glendale, Kentucky, a good Petro there. And where can a guy get some good poutine in the States? Because it's mainly in Canada. Well, we'd like to ship ours over there.
Is there such a thing as good poutine? You know where else I used to go and eat if I could get in, and there was one in Corbin, Kentucky off I-75. I think it was exit 29. There was a Love's there, but right next door was a Sonny's Barbecue, and they have good food. I like Sonny's Barbecue. And you won't get sick from that stuff, but it sure is good. So there's one I recommend, Sonny's Barbecue. They're mostly down like South 75 into Florida and through there.
I can't remember the name of the place, but somewhere off I-70 will fix you a free breakfast. Some sort of a Christian organization run by truckers.
Oh, no kidding.
The Big Cab in Oklahoma used to have good food.
Yes, I've eaten there. It's been a long time, but yes, it did have good food. I imagine that's still there too. I don't know how the food is anymore.
So do you ask for Canadian bacon or American bacon when ordering breakfast? American.
I just assume it all comes the same in the States.
No. Canadian bacon is female bacon.
Yes. Okay. Well, what's strip bacon called in the States? not Canadian bacon. But no, I'm not a big fan of pea meal. I just like regular bacon soft. There's a good barbecue in Junction, Texas called Cooper's Barbecue next to the Exxon truck stop. Jim Trucker. Haven't been there, but any place that has barbecue, I'm in. Love barbecue. T. Joe's Steakhouse and Saloon in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Adrian. Man, I used to go through Cheyenne all the time. I never knew that was there. You know, Little America's in Cheyenne is supposed to be good too. And again, I've never eaten in there either. I was usually on a mission. I was usually trying to get to Little America for the night, and I would stop there and sleep and eat and do it all at once, shower.
Uncle Pete's in Lebanon, Tennessee. Good food. Keystone Truck Stop, PA, US 22, exit 28.
Good to know. What makes me upset about truck stops anymore is they want to run the restaurants on banker hours now instead of 24 hours. Cassius Puckett. Yeah, you got a point there. That's a shame too.
Popeye's Burger King, delicious.
Which twisted soul wrote that in? But yeah, Cassius there made a good point, and all sorts of them aren't 24/7 anymore. At least the Iron Skillet, you could usually count on those guys to be 24/7. What's U.S. bacon called in Canada?
Bacon.
Just bacon.
We call it just bacon.
Bacon.
What do you call pop in the U.S.? Soda. We call it pop. Right?
Yeah, that's right. She's the boss. She's always right.
Right? Or
Yeah,
what do you
right.
call
No,
it?
that's right. That's right.
What do you call it?
I call it pop. Soda to me is soda water, but I think that's how they make it, with syrup and soda water. So I like it out of the can. I like it out of the bottle rather than those pre-mixed ones. The Trucker Inn Sock Center, Minnesota. Oh, I don't know it. Trucker Inn Sock Center. Thanks, Vince. In Michigan, it's pop. Too close to the border, maybe. Cokes, yeah. Yeah, you've got to be picky. Boy, for what you pay for a truck stop meal anymore, you can be picky. What else? There's a lot of Denny's now. Who did that? Flying J? I think it was Flying J that was bringing in Denny's when I was still working. And
I'd be curious to know if these folks set a daily budget to eat in restaurants, like how, or do you designate so much per week to spend, or just as it comes?
that's a
What
good
you're in the mood for?
good question. And what kind of money you spend every week on your food balance or on your food allowance or whatever you want to call it. What kind of money do you?
How much?
Yeah, 100, 200, 50.
100, 200.
Tell us. We'd be curious to know. It never used to be a problem. You could just, truck drivers could afford to eat when and where they wanted. Not so much the case these days.
$20 Canadian a day.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I used to
middle of the
figure.
road,
Yeah. That's with the exchange rate. That's not as great as it once was, but yeah, that's about what I used to figure.
Right out of the paycheck.
Yeah. But I didn't eat 3 meals a day either. So sometimes I'd go a day or two without hardly eating anything, and then I'd blow it all on the third day.
You were like an anaconda, though.
Yeah, I guess.
Eat once a day or every 2 days.
Yeah, something like that. Billy the Kid, under $25 a day is good.
I generally spend $250 per week Canadian for food on the road.
Yeah,
So
that's
$1,000 a month.
Okay, you've got to eat. You've got to eat. And that's part of my reason with reasoning with saying that truck drivers don't make enough anymore is because you can't afford to eat 3 square meals a day on the road anymore.
A hamburger costs $10. We had hamburgers the other night that were $18.50.
Yeah, for a hamburger.
Plus tax for a hamburger.
But this is Canada, so everything's too expensive up here anyway. But yeah, and then throw in our tax. It's ridiculous.
Cost now is $30 to $40 a day.
Wow.
I'm not surprised.
Wow. Yeah, but the pay hasn't gone up accordingly.
I spend $300 US a month bringing my own food, Michael Mueller.
Huh.
And then, though, he blows the wad on Mondays.
On roller wieners.
On roller wieners.
Yeah, that's a hell of a savings, though, eh? From 1,000 down to 300. That's pretty significant savings.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Park Sr. $18.50 for a burger? I gotta go. No, man, you don't want to come out here and eat. It's stupid.
They were good burgers.
Yeah, $18.50 plus tax. How much with the tax would the one burger have been? Like $20, eh?
More than $20.
More than $20 for a lousy hamburger. Welcome to Canada. Peter K., the good old days when the company paid us $15 per day to eat. And you made money off that. Yeah, geez. Those were good times. Remember that? There's nobody in trucking gets that anymore, but hydro guys up here, they get $20 or $25 a day to eat. The good jobs still pay you that way.
Andrew Park asks what are taxes in Canada. Each province has different tax. Ontario has 13% HST.
Which is ridiculous. Jim Trucker, it's about the same down here in Texas. The tax in Texas is 13%? Really? Wow. But yeah, I think that's insane. Truck stops in Canada suck for the most part. Oops. Yes, they do. In fact, I'm hard pressed to name a good one, so I'd have to agree with you. David Eggleton figures he spends $100 a week on food on the road. It's easy to do. It's easy to do.
I-80 truck stop in Sinclair, Wyoming is a 24-hour kitchen. David Eccleston spends $100 a week. Boy, that's good.
Yeah, I was just talking about that.
15% HST and PEI. Yes, they're higher than we are. Businesses get back their HST, but
15% in PEI?
Wow, that's good. $90 a week. And it's important to save money if you can and not spend it on food.
Yeah, truck drivers for the most part don't have a pension. So you've got to be able to bank a little every month for your retirement. And with the cost of everything going the way it is and the wages going the way they are, it's pretty tough to save for your old age anymore. So pretty much have to truck till you die and pass away in your boots at the wheel now. I have a problem with that. What else have we got? Devin Stroud figures he'll be running up to Canada here soon. Good. Drop in and say hi.
So what's a pension? Yeah.
Yeah, what's a pension? Yeah. You ask your grandfather. He could tell you. Those days are gone now. Here's a guy who says, Devin, it's $6 a gallon for fuel in BC, Canada. That's the truth. That's the truth, Devin. The fuel up here is outrageous as well. It's pretty much killed owner operators up here in Canada. The price of the fuel and the rates. You can't make any money anymore up here as an owner operator.
Ontario's en route service plazas aren't too bad, minus the lack of truck parking at many of them. Yes, and they're very clean too.
Yeah, but they don't have a whole lot of truck parking, do
No, no, they park when you go through them. When you're going in the exit,
Yeah.
that's where a lot of the trucks
Yeah.
park when you exit.
A lot of them have a Tim Hortons, and I can tolerate their soup, but it's all fast food in those places.
En routes are all fast food, yes they are.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
not,
they are.
not bad food. Not bad.
What about the oil field in Canada? Doesn't that pay good? Michael Yeramich. The oil field up here is pretty much shut down, Michael. We've got a goofy prime minister that shut it all down. So that's what's happened to that. Django Dave, and you can't get fuel there, and I assume he's talking about those what are they called that we were just en routes, and you can't get diesel fuel there. Is that right? You probably couldn't afford it if you could get it there, but I didn't know that. Huh, I believe it though.
Okay.
En route in Cambridge is one of the worst for parking. Yes, it is. I've been in there. So keep us posted on restaurants and decent food that you find on the interstate and on the highways. We need to keep abreast of this stuff. They're fewer and farther between than ever.
How will they do that?
Send it into our comment section. I used to watch Highway Through Hell, Jamie Davis Towing, and they were working out there in the oil field, and it was always busy. Those must have been old shows, or they're just busy towing used equipment out of the oil field there now. There's nothing going on up there. I spent 3 days in jail in Canada for having a gun in my truck. Billy the Kid. Yes, Billy, you can't bring a gun across the border. They don't like that. Doc Dewey, I used my mother's old taco soup recipe. Cheap to make and phenomenal. One pot lasts a week. That's the way to go. Ian Goldberg says the tax in Nova Scotia is 15% too. I had no idea.
So before we wind up, we need a couple of more uses for roller wieners.
Oh, are we going to talk about roller wieners?
You got something better to talk about?
You know where else, before we get into roller wieners, you know where else is often a decent place to eat? If you're in Nevada or the casinos, some of the big casinos have truck parking, and the buffets at those big casinos are often pretty good. Now there's something else that I think it's gone. I used to eat at the Peppermill when you're coming into Vegas. I don't even think that's there anymore. I think that's sold out, the Peppermill Casino. They had a good buffet in Wendover, Nevada. I assume that's still there. But yeah, those casinos in Nevada, Prim, had good food there as well. So there are some good spots to eat, and not an arm and a leg, but there was something that I had. Oh, and you know what else too is tough when you drive a truck is I think of crossing the Ambassador Bridge, coming into Windsor, and going down that main drag through Windsor. All sorts of good restaurants on either side of the road, and no truck parking for any of them. And the whole deal just siphons you out, and the only place you can park a truck and eat down there is the Husky. So that's just enough to make you hurl your guts across the parking lot having to eat in there. It's criminal that we can't get into more decent restaurants because they simply don't have the parking. And in fact, they deliberately sometimes don't want trucks in their parking lots. So that's part of the problem when you're a truck driver too. You can't get the truck into a good restaurant.
Right on. You can throw them at four-wheelers.
there's in my notes I've got who was bringing in IHOPs. It's TA Petro. They're cut a deal with something like 100 different IHOP chain restaurants in their truck stops now. Thinking,
Nutrition for the lot lizards.
You should be throwing them at the lot lizards.
Ooh. Roller winter deodorant / roller winter body wash.
Oh man.
You could market that.
Oh. They used to have such a thing as food inspectors at one time. What's happened to those guys that they allow roller wieners and stuff like that? Are there no food inspectors anymore? Is that just gone?
Roller wiener deodorant. Oh, nasty.
Who said that? You could market that. Michael Yarmich.
I said that.
Oh, it says it right here.
Oh.
Body wash. You ought to patent that idea,
New
man.
smart trucking
That's a winner.
body product.
No, I don't want to have anything to do with it. You let him market it.
And we could just buy it.
Use them as insulation in the winter. That's from Trucker Grey Ghost.
They should only be sold at the entrance to the Home Depot.
Yeah, there's what you could do. You could pack them where your bunk's coming apart, the seams or something like that. You could pack them with roller wieners for instead of spending money on caulking or something. Oh, man. Nasty stuff. Anything else there, babe?
Can't think of anything.
Okay. Well, we'll wrap it up. I'm starting to feel nauseous just thinking about those roller wieners again, but thanks for...
I don't know what our topic is for next week.
I don't know what it
The
is.
worst stretches of road.
Oh, yeah. Next week we're going to talk about some of the worst stretches of road that you'll encounter as truck drivers, or you guys have encountered. Or
So tell them to make a list.
Make up a list. Write it down. Keep it ready for next week, and we'll do one on some of the worst roads. We'll have a good chat about that. There's all sorts of them to talk about. Anyway, boys and girls, take care. Keep the rubber side down. We'll see you on the back haul.